What would you do if you failed? Not once, not twice, but over 1,000 times. Most of us would give up, but Thomas Edison didn't. And because of that, the world was never the same again. From the darkness of failure, he lit up the world. From silence, he gave us sound. And from stillness, he gave us motion. How did one man's relentless determination shape the modern world we live in today? The year was 1847. In the small town of Milan, Ohio, a boy named Thomas Edison was born. Someone who would one day change the course of history, though no one could have imagined it then. As a child, Thomas struggled in school. Teachers grew frustrated with his constant questions, his restless energy, and his difficulty hearing. To many, he seemed distracted, even slow. But his mother, Nancy Edison, saw something different. She believed in him when others did not. She pulled him out of school and chose to teach him herself. Under her guidance, Thomas's curiosity was not a weakness. It was a gift. He devoured books, explored ideas, and let his imagination wander without limits. His home became his classroom, and the world itself became his teacher. Down in the family's basement, young Edison began his earliest experiments. He mixed chemicals, built makeshift machines, and filled the air with both strange smells and sparks of possibility. To anyone else, it might have looked like the messy play of a curious boy. But in truth, it was the beginning of a lifelong journey, an inventor's mind in the making. By the age of 12, Thomas Edison was no ordinary boy. While most children his age were still tied to the classroom, Edison was already chasing opportunity. He began selling newspapers and snacks on the bustling trains that cut across the American landscape. The rattle of the tracks, the constant stream of passengers, it was more than just a job. It was his first taste of business, of independence, of carving his own path. But Edison didn't stop there. He saw more than just customers. He saw readers. With borrowed equipment, he set up a small printing press right on the train. There in the cramped space of a baggage car, he printed his very own newspaper, the Grand Trunk Herald. It was one of the first newspapers ever produced on a moving train. The young entrepreneur wasn't just selling information. He was shaping it, producing it, and putting it into the hands of the people. As he grew older, a new fascination took hold. Telegraphy, the mysterious clicks and taps that carried messages across wires, captured his imagination. He worked tirelessly to master it, learning the language of dots and dashes, the code that connected cities, states, even nations. For Edison, telegraphy was more than a job skill. It was the spark that lit his lifelong passion for communication technology. From the train cars where he sold newspapers, to the cluttered corners where he tapped out telegraph signals, young Edison was building more than businesses. He was building the foundation of a future where the world could connect in ways people had only begun to dream of. As Edison stepped into adulthood, his restless curiosity transformed into invention. By his early 20s, he was already filing patents, chasing ideas that he believed could change the world. But with those first sparks of innovation came the sting of reality. One of his earliest patents was for the electric vote recorder, a clever device that could instantly tally votes in legislatures. To Edison, it was a marvel. Fast, efficient, undeniable proof that technology could improve even the slow grind of politics. He carried his invention with pride, ready to make his mark. But when he presented it, the reaction was far from what he expected. Lawmakers rejected it outright. The reason? They didn't want faster voting. Delays, debates, the slow turning of the process, these were not flaws, but features of politics. Edison had built something ingenious, yes, but something no one actually wanted. It was a hard lesson for the young inventor. Innovation alone was not enough. The world had to be ready for it, and there had to be a market for it. Edison would later say that this failure taught him one of the most important rules of invention. It isn't about building something brilliant in isolation. It's about solving a problem people truly care about. So while the electric vote recorder never found its place in history, The lesson it carried would stay with Edison forever. From that moment on, his focus shifted: not just invention for invention's sake, but invention with purpose, invention that could live in the hands of the people. By the late 1870s, Thomas Edison was no longer just an ambitious young inventor. He was a man with a vision. That vision took shape in a quiet corner of New Jersey, in a place that would soon be known around the world, Menlo Park. Edison called it his laboratory, but history remembers it as the invention factory. Unlike the lone inventors of the past, Edison believed innovation could be organized, almost industrialized. He filled Menlo Park with skilled assistants, mechanics, chemists, draftsmen, thinkers who could take his ideas and push them forward. Together they worked day and night, experimenting, failing, and trying again, always under Edison's relentless drive. What made Menlo Park extraordinary wasn't just the inventions themselves, but the way they were created. Edison turned creativity into a system, invention into a process. Instead of relying on chance inspiration, his team tested, refined, and collaborated until ideas became realities. And soon the results astonished the world. In 1877, the laboratory produced something no human being had ever seen or heard before: the phonograph. For the first time in history, a person's voice, a piece of music, could be captured, stored, and played back. When Edison first recited "Mary Had a Little Lamb" into the device, and heard his own words return, it was nothing short of magic. Newspapers hailed him as the Wizard of Menlo Park. The phonograph was more than a marvel. It was proof that Edison's invention factory worked. Menlo Park became a beacon of innovation, a place where ideas were not just dreamed but built, tested, and released into the world. And it was only the beginning of what this factory of imagination would create. If there is one invention forever linked to Thomas Edison's name, it is the light bulb. But the story behind it was anything but simple. It was not the strike of sudden genius. It was the grind of relentless persistence. Edison dreamed of a light that could safely, cheaply, and reliably replace gas lamps. But to make that dream real, he had to solve the problem no one else could: finding the perfect filament, the tiny thread inside the bulb that would glow without burning out. Day after day, year after year, he and his team experimented. Cotton threads, strands of bamboo, even horsehair, each was tested, each was tried, each eventually failed. Some bulbs fizzled out in seconds, others shattered before they even had the chance to shine. By the hundreds, then the thousands, his experiments ended in disappointment. But Edison refused to call them failures. When asked about his endless attempts, he simply said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." To him, every burned-out bulb was not defeat, but progress. Finally, after years of struggle, he discovered the answer: carbonized bamboo, tough, durable, and capable of lasting over 1,200 hours. It was the breakthrough the world had been waiting for. When Edison's incandescent light bulb finally glowed steadily, it was more than an invention. It was a revolution. In that moment, night itself was changed. Darkness was no longer a barrier. Cities, homes, and lives would never be the same again. And it all came not from genius alone, but from a man willing to fail thousands of times before he finally succeeded. The glow of the light bulb was only the beginning. Edison knew that a single bulb meant little if the world had no way to power it. So he turned his focus from invention to infrastructure, setting out to do something that had never been done before: build a system that could deliver electricity to homes and businesses. In 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City, Edison switched on the world's first commercial power station. Street lamps lit up, buildings glowed. For the first time in history, entire neighborhoods could live in the steady brightness of electric light. It was a triumph not just of invention, but of vision, a moment when modern life truly began to take shape. But Edison's restless mind never stayed in one place for long. At Menlo Park, and later laboratories, new ideas came to life. The motion picture camera, which captured stories in moving images. The fluoroscope, an early step in using X-rays for medicine. refinements in telegraphs and telephones that made communication faster and clearer. Each invention pushed humanity forward, reshaping the way people saw, heard, and connected with the world. Yet not all was smooth progress. Edison soon found himself in one of the fiercest rivalries of his career, the war of currents. He championed direct current, or DC, as the safest and most reliable form of electricity. But Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse believed alternating current, AC, was the future, able to travel longer distances and power entire cities more efficiently. The battle wasn't just scientific, it was personal, even brutal. Edison fought hard to discredit AC, staging public demonstrations that shocked animals to prove its dangers. But in the end, the tide of progress favored Tesla and Westinghouse. Alternating current would become the standard, powering the world as we know it today. Still, even in defeat, Edison's mark on history only grew. Whether he won or lost, he pushed technology forward, forcing the world to imagine bigger, faster, and brighter possibilities. The light bulb may have made him famous, but it was everything beyond it that cemented his place as one of history's greatest inventors. By the end of his life, Thomas Edison's name was etched into history. He held more than 1,000 patents, an astonishing record of creativity and determination. From light to sound, from motion pictures to electric power, his inventions touched nearly every corner of modern life. But beyond the devices themselves, Edison's true legacy lay in the way he approached work, failure, and success. He was famous for his relentless schedule, often working 16 to 18 hours a day. His laboratories were places where the lights never went out, where curiosity never slept, and where problems were chased down until they yielded answers. To Edison, invention was not about sudden flashes of genius. It was about grit, endurance, and the willingness to keep trying long after others had given up. He summed it up in a line that became his philosophy: genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. That belief defined not only his career, but also the path of modern innovation. Edison proved that persistence could triumph over failure, that determination could outshine discouragement, and that progress was built one experiment at a time. Today, every time a light switches on, a song plays, or a movie begins to roll, we are touched by his spirit. His inventions illuminated more than cities and homes. They illuminated what human beings are capable of when they refuse to quit. Thomas Edison's story reminds us that greatness does not come from avoiding failure, but from embracing it, learning from it, and pressing forward with tireless curiosity. That is the legacy of the Wizard of Menlo Park. Thomas Edison's story teaches us something timeless. Number 1, failure is not the end, but feedback. One of the most important lessons we can learn from Thomas Edison is that failure does not define the end of a journey. It provides insight, guidance, and direction. Edison's career was full of setbacks. From early flopped inventions like the electric vote recorder, to the thousands of failed attempts at creating a practical incandescent light bulb, each failure carried a lesson. When Edison's vote recorder was rejected, he realized that not every brilliant idea has a market. This taught him the importance of understanding the world's needs and the value of practical application. His repeated experiments with light bulb filaments, testing cotton, bamboo, and even horsehair, show that failure is not personal inadequacy. Instead, it is data, a signal of what works and what doesn't. In life and innovation, failure serves as a compass. It indicates the path we must adjust, the methods we must refine, and the patience we must cultivate. Edison's perspective turns failure from a source of shame into a tool for growth. By reframing failure as feedback, Edison demonstrates that setbacks are not barriers, but stepping stones toward progress. Every unsuccessful experiment was a necessary step that brought him closer to his ultimate goal. Number 2. Persistence is the key to breakthroughs. Edison's famous quote, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration," encapsulates the central lesson of his life. Sustained effort and determination outweigh innate talent or sudden flashes of brilliance. Persistence means continuing when others would give up, Edison tried thousands of filaments before finding one that worked for the light bulb. Each failure could have discouraged him, but he used it as motivation to keep going. Persistence is built on discipline. Edison often worked 16, 18-hour days in his laboratory. He approached invention like a methodical process, testing, recording, refining, and testing again. Success is rarely instantaneous. Edison's work teaches that progress is cumulative, and small, consistent efforts eventually lead to breakthroughs. The light bulb did not appear overnight. It emerged after years of tireless experimentation and thousands of lessons learned. Edison's life shows that brilliance alone is insufficient. Without persistence, even the most talented minds can falter. True achievement comes from enduring setbacks and continuing the pursuit of a vision long after the first disappointments. Number 3. Adaptation and learning from mistakes. Another key aspect of Edison's approach was his ability to adapt. He did not stubbornly repeat the same mistake. He analyzed outcomes, adjusted his methods, and moved forward strategically. In testing filaments, Edison carefully documented each experiment, noting what worked and what failed. This systematic approach allowed him to refine his methods instead of relying on guesswork. Edison's early failure with the electric vote recorder taught him that an invention must serve a need. He learned that a practical, impactful invention is not just about creativity, but also about relevance and usefulness. Adaptation requires humility, the willingness to recognize what is not working and to pivot. Edison's life reminds us that learning from mistakes is essential to achieving lasting success. Through adaptation, Edison turned repeated setbacks into progress, proving that resilience and flexibility are as important as raw effort in any creative or professional endeavor. Number 4. Vision and relentless pursuit. Edison's success was also rooted in an unwavering commitment to his vision. He did not pursue invention for fame or fortune alone. He wanted to change the world, make life easier, and illuminate the darkness, literally and metaphorically. Vision fuels perseverance. When Edison faced thousands of failed light bulbs, it was the larger goal, creating a practical, lasting source of electric light, that kept him going. The clarity of his vision allowed him to remain focused, even amid criticism, doubt, and competition. While others questioned the feasibility of his ideas, Edison's commitment pushed him forward. Relentless pursuit also inspires others. Edison's teams in Menlo Park were motivated by his dedication. His vision created a culture of innovation where collective persistence and ingenuity thrived. Edison's life illustrates that a clear, meaningful vision not only sustains individual effort, but also mobilizes teams, encourages experimentation, and amplifies the impact of persistence. Number 5. Resilience amid competition and criticism. Failure is not limited to personal experiments. It also comes in the form of external opposition. Edison's career faced intense rivalry, particularly during the War of Currents, against Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse. Edison championed direct current DC, while Tesla and Westinghouse promoted alternating current AC. Despite public criticism, technical challenges, and the eventual dominance of AC, Edison's work continued to influence the world of electricity. Resilience means staying committed to your process, even when the outcome is uncertain. Edison continued to innovate, diversify, and refine his inventions, showing that criticism and competition do not define one's potential. External failures, rejection, rivalry, skepticism, should be viewed as opportunities to strengthen resolve, improve methods, and explore alternative solutions. Edison's approach teaches that resilience requires both internal determination and the capacity to navigate external obstacles without losing focus on the ultimate goal. Number 6. Inspiration for modern life. Edison's persistence is not just a historical anecdote, it is a lesson for all of us in personal growth, creativity, and professional endeavors. Every failure we encounter, whether in school, work, or personal projects, can be reframed as a step toward mastery. Like Edison, we can document, reflect, and adjust until we reach success. The process of trial, error, and learning is universal. Edison's life shows that the journey to achievement is often long and full of setbacks, but perseverance transforms obstacles into opportunities. viewing challenges as temporary and necessary rather than permanent and limiting fosters a mindset of innovation and resilience. Edison exemplifies how determination can turn impossible dreams into reality. The real power of Edison's example is that it democratizes success. It is not reserved for geniuses or prodigies. It belongs to those willing to work, adapt, and persist when others would give up. Number 7. The importance of not giving up. Perhaps the most inspiring lesson from Edison's story is simple but profound. Never quit. Imagine if Edison had stopped on his 100th attempt at the light bulb, or even the 999th. The world might still be dark, relying on gas lamps or candles. Modern life, electricity, recorded sound, motion pictures, would have been delayed by decades. Success often comes when the world expects failure. The difference between achieving a breakthrough and abandoning a goal is persistence. Edison's life reminds us that the final attempt can be the one that changes everything. The courage to continue, to embrace repeated failure as progress, and to remain committed to a vision is the defining trait of innovators, leaders, and pioneers across all fields. Edison's persistence is not just a story about invention. It is a philosophy of life. Every setback is temporary. Every failure is instructional, and every day offers a chance to try again. So what about you? What is your light bulb moment? What dream are you willing to fail 1,000 times for? The world is full of challenges, but it's also full of possibilities, and your persistence could be the spark that changes everything. Take a moment to reflect, to embrace your failures as feedback, and to share your ambitions with others. Share your story in the comments. Inspire someone else, and let yourself be inspired in return. Remember, innovation and progress are rarely instantaneous. They come from grit, curiosity, and the refusal to quit. Edison's life is a powerful reminder that we all have the capacity to push boundaries, explore new ideas, and illuminate the world in our own way. Each experiment, each attempt, each small step brings us closer to our own breakthroughs. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of Thomas Edison, an inventor, a visionary, and a testament to the power of perseverance. This is Limitless Listening, where we explore stories of resilience, innovation, and the human spirit. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep pushing your own limits. Remember, your next idea, your next experiment, your next failure could be the one that changes everything. The light is waiting. Now it's your turn to switch it on.